What are Advantage Plus audiences and how can you make the most of them?
Let's talk about that.
Right, Matt, welcome back to the T-Talk studio. It's been a little while since you and I.
It's been ages. I feel like it's been months, yeah.
I think it probably has been a couple of months. Yeah, we've been so busy. What have you been up to?
Oh, mainly keeping up with all the changes that are happening in Meta, because it just seems to change every day at the moment. Every day I'll go into the platform and the menu's changed and this has moved around and stuff, but that's why it's fun, right?
That is why it's fun.
Keeping me on my toes.
So today we're going to be talking about Advantage Plus, audiences very specifically, and how our viewers can get the most of them. And firstly, we're going to start with what are they get into it. Have a little bit of a deep dive this week. It'll be good fun.
But first, tea or tosh?
That's right, it's time to separate the real from the rough. Each episode we tackle a bold marketing claim and figure out what's real and what's just plain wrong. And the best part, you get to play along at home. So, is it tea or tosh?
For an e-com brand, Advantage Plus audiences could achieve a 4.2 lower cost per result. So that could be a lower cost per lead.
This is using Advantage Plus audiences?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be tea, surely.
It's tosh.
Okay.
Because it's actually 7.2.
Oh, he's going to trip me on that one. I was going to say, okay, because I was thinking you were sort of leading me to that, thinking 4.2, yeah, that's... I
was being cheeky with that one.
You were. Okay, so 7.2.
So 7.2, yeah, lower cost per acquisition. So for an e-com brand, cost per acquisition, 7.2% lower.
And that's tosh. There you go. Are we getting 7.2? Are we doing better than that? Are we beating them? Are we beating the average?
To be honest with you, it's difficult to say because as I go into it, we mainly use Advantage Plus audiences now. Right. So as a kind of rule of thumb, because typically we see them working a lot better.
Okay, so for those who don't know then, let's get straight into it. So for those who don't know, what is Advantage Plus audiences in layman's terms, so that if those watching going, never heard of it, don't know what it is?
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah. So Meta's way of describing it is that it lets you use Meta's advanced AI to find your campaign audience. It can be the easiest to use and the best performing Advantage Plus audience automation option yet.
That's Meta's description.
That's Meta's description.
Now let's have Matt's description.
So essentially what we're saying is, anybody can do this, if you go on Meta, on Instagram or on Facebook and you get an ad, you click on the three little dots and you can see, why am I seeing this ad?
Yeah.
A lot of the time now there won't be any kind of targeting in there as such. It's pretty broad.
Okay.
But what Advantage Plus audiences does is it allows us to include suggestions and signals.
Okay.
So old school would be you might have different ad sets that have different interests in. So you get really granular on, if you're a plant brand, you might have plants, or gardening as very separate ad sets with separate interests in.
Yeah.
And then you would kind of test that and you play around with different interests and things like that. And you'd be able to see, okay, so this ad with this interest got me this result. Whereas now what we're saying is we're just going to give Meta some signals. So that could be those interests, but we'll kind of lump those together. We might include some lookalike audiences in there as well. And then Meta, if it wants to, can go outside of the signals. So it's like we're giving signals where it can start. But if it wants to use its AI learning to go beyond that, we will let it do it.
Okay. So because now we're less trying to get specifically it's this exact audience and that exact, whereas now we're casting a broader brush because we're letting the creative do the targeting. The creative's doing the hard work for us.
Exactly that. So rather than over narrowing, which it would be the case, because we can, if we really want to, we can go manual and we can do it that old way. Right. As I said to you a minute ago, doing that testing, typically we do see those like increase or decrease in the cost per acquisition doing it this way.
Why do you think that is? If we zoom out a little bit, why do we think, is it just that the AI has just got so good now?
The AI is getting better.
Yeah.
But also it's because the creative is what's doing the heavy lifting now.
Right.
So, AI, machine learning, is going to be able to do a way quicker job than a human being to make sure that they're putting that ad in the right place at the right time. So we are way better off embracing that, but then spending more of our time in their creative.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if we're going broader, what we need to make it really, really clear in that ad is who it's for.
Sure.
Or who it's not for.
Yeah.
So that's why we spend a lot of time here researching and coming up with creative briefs, because that's what does a lot of the work now.
And is this true for both if you're a small business, operate maybe locally? I mean, you mentioned e-com. Is this true? How does it compare if you're a small business watching this, thinking, well, I'm only spending a couple of grand a month, versus, or we're a bigger brand and we're spending tens of that? Is the same principle apply?
I would say it's your foundational starting point.
Okay.
If you're a bigger brand that has more budgets, you can be a little bit more kind of intricate with your targeting. So one of the ways that you wouldn't use Advantage Plus audiences would be if you wanted to be very specific on, say, retargeting.
Sure.
So you had like a very specific message for somebody that's like added to cart, or they've viewed a specific product.
Yeah.
That we want to go kind of more manual and really hone in on that audience, because it's a very specific audience.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when you've got that kind of upper middle funnel piece, Advantage Plus would be the way to go. But I would say, it doesn't matter if you're a big brand or a small brand. That would be like kind of my starting point.
If you are prospecting, if you're going out to a cold audience, fairly top of funnel, so maybe these people don't know you, but you want to, and you're not quite sure which message, which creative is going to resonate best. And then the retargeting, that makes it, the retargeting, you kind of go, I only want to send this message to people because they've added something to the cart, or because they've downloaded something, they've engaged, they've been here, they've done something.
Yeah. You might want to, because that might be the time when you want to put an offer in front of them. So you don't want to put an offer in front of, say, somebody that doesn't know who your brand is yet. It's more that kind of like storytelling brand awareness.
But would you do that? Would you put an offer in front of them at the top of funnel stuff? Because in amongst other creative, because you go,
we test
do they resonate with an offer? Do they resonate with something else, something else?
Because what Meta's essentially, it's got, the total addressable market available to it. And then that's why we have a different messaging throughout the customer journey.
Right.
And then Meta's going to go, okay, because they've clicked on this website, that they're looking at this, and so it's using pixel data to understand the journey that specific person is going on. It can go, okay, they're going to like that ad more than that one, and put the relevant ad in front of them at the right time.
Before we go any further, if you're enjoying today's Tea Talk, you'll love our Grow with Evergreen podcast. Specifically created for home, garden, and lifestyle brands, it's a podcast dedicated to discussing paid media and marketing. Every episode, we're joined by a brand that wants to grow online. We delve into their business, dissect what they're doing, and define a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. And best of all, you get to listen or watch along, then take those learnings into your own business. Make sure you check it out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But for now, let's get back to today's Tea Talk.
So where does the whole first-party data bit come into all of this then? If we're not using it for retargeting, we're going to put that to one side. But if you've got data, business watching this thinking, well, we've got a big chunky database. Where does that fit into the whole Advantage Plus planning?
Yeah, it just helps Meta learn again. It just is a signal. So what we can do from first-party data, so an email list, or whatever it is that you have available from a first-party data perspective, leads, existing purchasers, whatever, we can create a lookalike audience of that and add that to the Advantage Plus audience. So again, it's just giving Meta a bit of a helping hand to start off with.
Interesting. So I'm just trying to think what the people watching this be thinking, or listen to it thinking, right, what else would they want to know? So if you're doing this, so you're not worrying about crossing every T, dotting every I from this exact type of audience, this exact person. You're saying, well, we're going to let the creative do the targeting. I would imagine then you're going to be, I know, but bear with me. You're in that scenario, you're going to be casting a wide net. You're going to be getting more eyeballs on your ads. So does that then mean that in order to judge the success, what's the timeline look like for this? Does it mean it takes longer, less time, more time? What does that typically look like? I appreciate
depends on budget.
Yeah.
So if a rule of thumb that I like to use is that I won't make a decision on a certain creative until there's been at least like 2,000 impressions on it. So obviously that would be budgets dependent, right?
Sure.
Because if you've got a really tiny budget, it's going to take longer for you to get 2,000 impressions. I like to kind of get enough eyeballs on that ad for me to understand, and then obviously look at the data to say, are we getting good click-throughs, those softer metrics first, and then like the conversions then will like come.
And is that 2,000 per creative?
Yeah.
So if you've got, and how many creative would you have on average? Like what's a typical small business or an e-com business? How many would you? I know, again, it's going to depend on budget to a degree, but...
Yeah, so I would say that when you get to like 10,000 budget per month, I would say that that's when you want to be looking at cycling creatives weekly.
Okay.
But again, it does depend on the budget. So
Yeah.
if you've got like £500, you might want to have like 5 creatives that are in circulation at one time.
Yeah.
If you're on £5,000, it might be 10, working up to say 20.
Fine. And when you get to 10, 20, 30K, say a week or a month that you're spending, the frequency with which, so you would have more creative the bigger the budget, but also the frequency with which you're changing and iterating that creative, because you're going to have so many pressure, you're going to cycle through the creative that much more quickly and be able to identify the winners and the losers.
Exactly that, yeah. So like when we've got a decent amount of time, say a couple of weeks where we're consistently hitting KPIs through in our testing campaign, we'll then move that creative into like a scaling campaign. So all the winners then are in our nice kind of scaling campaign, and we just put more budget into there, whilst then we're continuously then adding in new creatives each week.
Okay, just expand, because I think that's really interesting. In terms of the structure that you sort of deploy for our clients, that is, you've got your scaling campaigns, the ones that you kind of go, I'm backing these, they've proven their work, lovely, we're going to let them do it, we're going to just keep feeding more and more budget. But then you very separately, you've got like your little testing area.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. And so with the scaling campaign, that's like fully automated with the budget. Whereas with the testing campaign, when we launch new creatives, we're forcing budget into it. So it doesn't, because what Meta will do is it will favor a creative.
Right.
And it will just go after that. Whereas actually it might be that the others would have had a chance had there been budget go into it. So instead of it running away with what it thinks is right, we'll force spend evenly across those creatives. So we make sure that they've got
And how are you doing that?
Through different ad sets. So we have ad set budgets,
fine.
ad set budgets, and then we revert into the scaling campaign on a CBO or advantage.
But still, you're still doing that, but you're still the thing of 2,000 impressions or whatever it might be, you're still keeping that to give everything a fair crack of the whip, and depending on your budget, it's going to dictate how long that takes, and you can identify winners and losers.
Exactly.
So, if you think of like one of our clients where you're doing the testing thing, I'm just curious, and this is a complete segue, but just curious of this, if you've got, say, 5, 10 creative that you put into, let's say 5, you put 5 new creative in, you're testing them, how many would you expect to be winners versus, are you looking for 1 in 5 of them to be standout, or do you think more work than not?
I would hope to have like 50% of the new creatives work, because a lot of the time, when we add new creatives, we're not talking about net new creatives. So net new creatives being completely new, we're iterating.
Fine.
So if it was a completely new creative, who knows? Like sometimes the ones that you think are going to work don't, and vice versa. But a lot of the time, especially when we're scaling, we're using what we know is working, but iterating it.
Right.
And then we'll do a couple, not as frequently, a couple of like net new creatives, so just completely new concepts.
And so on the creative, if we can beat it. Another question on the creative. It's fascinating. I'm enjoying this. So on the creative, then you're talking about different messages. So like you might change the messaging or this and that. But are you also talking about the different? So still graphics, videos. Is it all of the above? Is there a certain mix that you go for? What do you typically how do you structure that?
Yeah, good question. So it is a creative mix.
Okay.
So the way that we typically do this, and again, it depends on where the customer is in the journey and the message, because if you're doing like a sale and you're doing a 60% offer, you might as well just do an image ad for that, because it's so obvious what the message is that you need to convey.
Sure.
If it was trying to explain, I don't know, like garden on a roll, the concept of that, that's going to work better in a video. So it's not just trying to say the same message in different types of creatives, it's just understanding actually what is needed to get that across.
And it goes back to something that I hear you talk about with your team all the time and talking about the creatives, is the depth with which you want to understand the audience of our clients is ridiculous. Genuinely. I hear you talk about that all the time. It's like, let's think about their audience. Let's think about their pain points, what they're going through, what they're thinking about, where they're at in the buyer journey. And it's understanding. I think that's really the key, isn't it? It's understanding the audience means you don't just pluck ideas. Well, maybe we'll try this, maybe we'll try that. But actually, you're tapping into exactly what that audience is after, the questions they've got, the thought. You're almost doing the thinking for them, because then you can tap into, and that's how you can be fairly confident you're backing winners in terms of
exactly that.
We know what we're doing.
Like so with a hot tub brand, for example, somebody that's in the market for a hot tub might be looking for a hot tub for hydrotherapy. It might be a young couple that wants it for, a good time in the garden.
Who knows what they want it for?
That sounds very dodgy.
Great, cut. Where are we going? Yeah,
you might have that like hosting persona.
Yeah. And then others want it, for fam. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's for health benefits. So those creatives and messages are so different.
Yeah.
So if we just said the same thing all the time, then we're kind of only really talking to one audience, and then that also hinders us from scaling.
Yeah,
because we're only talking to a very small.
And also, what I love about that point. Not the couple thing necessarily, but the wider thing. What I love about that is not once in there did you mention about the discount and sale of the offer. Because when it's just creative and everyone thinks of it as, to get more traction with our ads, let's slap an offer on it. Let's do it. It's not always about that. Because if you are just being led by price, you and everyone else, it just becomes a race to the bottom. Whereas actually, as you say, if you tap into what it is that the reason they're maybe looking at getting a hot tub or a swim spa, you immediately are going to stand out, because most people will just go, well, we need to do some new creative. Okay, well, let's run a 10%, 20%. Let's do this, do that. And sometimes that is the case. Whoops, throwing me pen around. But for the most part, it's about tapping into that customer and what they're thinking.
Yeah, because the discount message, that's somebody that already knows that they want a hot tub. They're just looking for the deal. Whereas like somebody that wants a hot tub to like improve their health and well-being, they might not know that a hot tub could do that for them yet.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's why it's important to focus on that bit. And then as we move down the funnel, we'll put things in there like reviews, testimonials.
Yeah. Because again, that's such a good, because if reviews, testimonials, hugely powerful, but they've got to be so far down the user journey before they care. Otherwise, if you lead with reviews, you have that too early on. Who cares? Seeing testimonials is completely meaningless. But if you're that much more further through the funnel, then suddenly that bit, because that could be the trigger that just gets you over. Think, actually, do you know what? I am going to buy because I see this or I see that. Yeah,
especially like with a hot tub, and it's on average 3-month consideration period. You need to have all those other messages kind of bubbling along.
And because that variety of creative in terms of different, still image, video, whatever, alongside different messages over a period of time is how, as a brand, we can stay top of mind. We can ensure that our clients are remaining in their customers' mind's eye without just hitting them with the same ads, repeating, just 10 different ways to say the same thing. It's boring. I'm switching off now. And you get that, what's the phrase? You get that sort of
fatigue.
Yeah, ad fatigue, and you don't even see the ad anymore because I've switched off from it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So last thing on Advantage Plus then, in terms of return. So you've got to let the creative do the talking. You've got to have to put more time and energy into really truly understand your audience.
Yes.
And then get someone, or you do it yourself, create a lot of creative, more than you probably think.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? In terms of returns, like, don't give any specifics, but what we're seeing, it's working, it's worth the effort, it's worth the creative time and resource to go into it.
Where I was auditing an ad account the other day, and it had 2 audiences. It was the Advantage Plus.
Yeah.
And then it was very manual, forcing it to kind of target interests. And the cost per acquisition was like 75% less on the Advantage Plus.
Is this a client or prospect?
Prospect.
Oh,
well, it's a client now.
Oh, okay. Oh, who's that? Okay. We'll take it offline. Okay, interesting. Well, there's 3 guesses for where you're taking that campaign then, and what you're doing with that. Okay, amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for that. Really good. Hopefully that has been useful for you to just get an understanding of Advantage Plus, audiences, what you can and what you can't do. I think the big headline is get the best possible understanding of your audience. Go to town with the creative, baby.
Have fun.
Do that and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
There you go. This has been good fun. Look, Matt and I back in the T-Talk studio. Hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure, if you have, that you like and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and a little comment. Say, loving Matt and all these great meta insights. And we'll see you on the next one, I think. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.
Take care.